Sin City. Saturday night. Fight night. Any given weekend, this place is the entertainment capital of the world. When combat sports shines brightest on the Las Vegas Strip. Boxing and mixed martial arts need some new voices. And Franchise Sports Media got them for you. Join Kalani Lua and Griff and Kalani each week as they bring you news and hot takes from inside the octagon and the ring. Get your popcorn ready. It's showtime. FSM's main event starts right now.
What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua.
I'm Griff and Kalani.
Griff, going to the New York. Going to the Big Apple this weekend, buddy.
Yes, sir.
UFC 295 going down in the Garden. Madison Square Garden, MSG. You can make it in New York, baby. You can make it anywhere.
Anywhere, baby.
We got two titles on the line. In a unique way, though, Griff. Nobody's defending the titles. The titles are up for grab. I'm a wrestling fan. New York City, big wrestling city. It's a ladder match.
Right.
Titles right up there. Who's going to climb the ladder, ascend, take it off the hinge, and say, I'm the champion? We got, at 205, your boy, Jiri Prochazka, taking on Alex Pereira. And then, in co-main event, we'll dive into it. Heavyweight title is on the line. The interim heavyweight title is on the line against Sergei Pavlovich, taking on Tom Aspinall, your boy.
Yup.
Griff, let's dive into this. First off, we got two title fights on the line. Nobody's defending it. Break that down.
This is the second card in a row for the UFC where last-minute changes had to be made. Shout out your boy, Mr. No Pec Deck boy, no front delta ass boy. Shout out him. It is an interesting little setup how this card eventually is now going to be going down on Saturday night at the Mecca, but it's still a great card. It's still a great main, co-main, the main card, the prelims. It's all still a great card, especially for the UFC's annual card held at New York City at the Mecca. You got to bring the boom. You got to come with it when you come to the what do they call it? The cathedral of sports, the biggest stage on the sports world, baby. You got to bring it. What do you bring? You bring the big boys out here. You bring the big guns. That way the whole world can get a nice little bang for 2023 when it comes to the UFC.
Very quickly. Originally on the card, Jiri Prochazka and Alex Pereira were there, but they were the co-main event.
They were the co-main.
Initially, we were going to have the greatest UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic, taking on current heavyweight champion and the greatest mixed martial art fighter of all time, Jon Jones. Unfortunately, Jon Jones suffered an injury. First time in his career, he suffered a major injury. Get better. Don't dare disrespect Jon Jones anymore on this show, but with that, things had to be switched around. Instead of Miocic staying on the card, Dana White said, listen, this is a legacy fight between two of our best.
Yep.
Put you on the shelf. Now, maybe, I don't know. Depends who you want to believe. But maybe Miocic didn't feel like, hey, me taking on these guys late notice, you need to up my pay a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if he wanted to do it or not. Hey, he's going to go back to being a firefighter, putting out fires, saving cats and trees. All good, brother. But now we got Tom Aspinall coming over from the UK. Next big thing in the UFC heavyweight division, but then you got Sergei Pavlovich.
Scariest Russian since Drago.
That dude has come over and he said, oh, hold my, it's not beer. Is it schnapps?
The Russians?
Yeah.
Hold my vodka bottle.
Hold
that's
my
what it is.
vodka bottle. That's what it was. I think schnapps is Germany. But that now boosts the co-main event of Jiri Prochazka taking on Alex Pereira to the main event for the light heavyweight title.
Yes.
For 205. Now, this is the former champion, Prochazka. Suffered an injury. I don't see you bad dogging him. Do ya? No, but you do it to Jon Jones. I would not allow that to happen.
Jon Jones is a pec. This boy has a shoulder. The worst shoulder injury Dana White said he had ever seen.
And this is one of the worst pec injuries ever seen because it came completely off the bone. You know how they say the meat's so tender for when you're cooking it, it falls off the bone? It fell off the bone, Vic. It's like me at the barbecue. There's no meat left. It's all gone.
John Peck off the bones Jones. That's the new nickname.
Off the bones Jones. We're keeping all the noise down. We're turning everything on silent, keeping it pure because I would not allow any disrespect of the GOAT on this show. No. Come on now.
Okay.
Legit injury. This ain't no little pinky toe or don't scratch on. This is a legit injury, but
we'll get into that in the co-main.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But Prochazka coming back off his shoulder injury, taking on Alex Pereira. up at 205. Now, he already fought Jan Blachowicz there. Decent showing, showed some improvements in his game that maybe we didn't think were there. But at the same time, you look at Pereira, former middleweight champion, kickboxing world star all over, tremendous knockout power. How do you think he looks and fares in his second going, giving Jiri kind of fits more of what he likes stylistically wise to go up against? What are your thoughts on the main event, Jiri Pereira?
I will say, watching Alex Pereira's first fight at light heavyweight against Jan, I was a little disappointed. I thought there was going to be a lot more fireworks. I do want to say we have to take into consideration when that fight happened. They were in Salt Lake City where the elevation is high. The cardio is never where you want it to be, no matter how long your camp was. So I was a little disappointed in his performance in that, but he did get the win. I think in this fight, in Madison Square Garden, he's going against Jiri, where like you just said, what Jiri does, it's going to match better for what Alex Pereira likes to do. And the thing that Alex Pereira likes to do is knock mofos out. He likes to put that left hook on people's chins and put them to bed. And Jiri, we got to give to Jiri, especially after his fight with Glover Teixeira, Alex Pereira's coach. God, there's a lot of ties in this fight.
Yes, it is.
There's so many storylines. Jiri's got a chin on him. When he fought Glover was piecing him up. A 42-year-old man was piecing him up all throughout that fight, and it was just until the last, just above 30 seconds of the entire 5-round fight where Jiri was able to get the clinch onto Glover and secure the belt, secure the win. I think in this fight, I'm nervous for Jiri. I'm real nervous for Jiri.
Should be.
I mean, he's been off for such a long time, for a year, recovering from this shoulder injury. Alex Pereira has been active. He's been more active. He's been in the cage recently. But the way Jiri fights is so unorthodox. It's so much movement. It's not your traditional just, like boxing where you're just hitting there and you're making sure you're blocking, you know what you're doing. Jiri you don't know what he's going to do. But that makes him very susceptible to punches and getting his face touched real nice. So that's why I worry for him. But I think no matter what, I can almost say confidently this is not going to be a judge's decision. This fight is going to have a finish. It could be finished in the first round. It could be a finish in the 4th or 5th round. But either way, this fight is going to conclude with an absolute exciting finish. It's two of the scariest guys on the UFC roster. They're going to go at it for this vacant belt and maybe, just maybe, give light heavyweight some stability. A champion who reigns for a little bit longer than a week.
Well, at the same time, you got to take into account injuries. Jiri Prochazka got injured. And then the fact that, look, there's some serious monsters and killers in that particular division. But you also got to look at this particular fact. Because he's been off for a year recovering, and he does move around a lot, the adrenaline, the big stage again, the bright lights, the atmosphere, the crowd, who's standing across from you, standing around, the nerves and the adrenaline going up. Does Jiri kind of have either a deer in the headlights look, or does he kind of gas himself out because he moves around so much? You are taking on somebody who's extremely aggressive, very strong with his strikes. You move around as well. All that put together that I just said, does that maybe drain his gas tank a little bit sooner? We've seen when he took on Glover Teixeira, he's got a good gas tank for the most part. There were times in there, though, it looked like he wanted to put his hands on the knees in the middle of the fight and call timeout. So now against Pereira, who's not 42 years old, by the way. Remember that.
He's about 36, 37? Still a little bit.
37?
A little bit up there, a little bit.
Look, I ain't 42. That's
true.
Not 42.
That is true.
And this is his second go around at 205 now. So now that he's had a chance to say, okay, I put on the weight last time. Now I'm more comfortable in this weight cut, more comfortable fighting here again. I'm on the big stage, which we have seen. It does not bother him whatsoever what type of stage he is on. Now that he goes out there, I'm just curious, how is Jiri going to look physically, and how's his conditioning going to look? For Pereira, as you mentioned, terrific striker, left hook galore. I wonder, what does he change up now because Jiri's so offensive, is so unorthodox? Does he try to go for leg kicks, body shots, slow down his opponent? I would personally say, this is just me, I would go for the calf kicks early. One, I need to slow that movement down. I need to hit a stationary target. Two, as I just said too, and you brought up, he's been gone for a year. And with everything I said about his movement and cardio, guess what I'm doing? I'm throwing some leg kicks to the body because I want to see, how are you going to respond? If I throw a couple calf kicks at you, some inside leg kicks, now I'm going to start throwing some kicks to the body. I want to see what's your reaction because if nothing else, that's going to start wearing on you. third, fourth, as you said, maybe the fifth round, if that comes about, now you're not moving as fast. Now you're not so gingerly on there. But if I could get you early with some of those, and I get you thinking about the lower extremities, guess what that opens up to? Left hook to the head. So at the same time, if I'm Alex Pereira, instead of trying to go out there like you brought up boxing and just trying to look for my one money shot, let me mix it up a little bit. This guy likes to move around like, pa-pow, pa-pow. Let me hit that calf leg, get it to swell up a little bit, get the blood all packed in there so he can't move. Body kicks, body kicks. Now I'm getting him thinking about that. Wham, fake kick, boom. Left hook upstairs, night, Irene, and what do you think?
It's definitely plausible. That definitely sounds like a good game plan. But then, I mean, let's look at Jiri's side.
Yes.
What do you do when you're going in against Poatan?
Oh, I tell you.
I mean,
go ahead, but I got you.
I mean, right now, if I'm Jiri, I'm looking at it as this. I'm saying, okay.
I want to make sure it's on silent, though.
Probably that'd be a good. Everybody at TME has very important phone calls, texts. We're all out here messaging people.
While we do the main event, nothing is more important in the world than this. If a baby is crying, you let that baby cry.
Amen. Let that baby cry. I would say for Jiri, you can only look at his fight with Israel Adesanya, the second fight in the UFC, where Adesanya was able to get the knockout punch and get a victory over Poatan. Because besides that, Poatan's been a two-time champion at Glory Kickboxing. He's been a champion in the middleweight division for the UFC. He has just been a nonstop monster. He knocked out the current reigning middleweight champion, Sean Strickland, in the first round viciously. Yes. He sent him right back to the trailer park, baby. Made it look easy. Yeah. So when you go in and facing a guy like this, especially, and this is what I think is crazy about this fight, both these men are about 6'3", 6'4". They're both obviously going to be coming in at that 205, and they'll be weighing in at 205. By the time they enter into the cage, they'll both be about probably 230, I would assume.
Which is the dumbest thing. We have to weigh 205 the day before, but then the night of the fight, we could get as big as we possibly can.
Hey, baby.
Makes no damn sense.
That's the fight game, baby. That's the fight game.
Makes no sense.
And these both men are so athletic. They're so lengthy and rangy that this is just going to be such an explosive fight. And especially, I think back to Jiri, one of his most impressive victories was that fight against Dominic Reyes, where he threw the nastiest elbow that has ever been thrown in the UFC.
Yes.
Straight clocked that man, put him down on the mat, and he's never been the same. So I think for Jiri, I think he's going to want this to be more of a closer match. He wants the distance to be shorter between him and Poatan. Even though Poatan's got that power in his hands, I think for Alex Pereira, he wants more of a little bit of a distance because he knows he has that range, and he usually he's probably going to want to utilize it. So I would say for Jiri, keep it close, utilize those damn bows, and try as much as you can to. Oh man, here's the thing too. I think Jiri's going to be the one who optimizes the ground game. I think Yuri's going to want to try and take him down.
Would make the most sense to do such a thing. It would make the most sense to do such a thing.
So keep the distance close. Try to get down on the mat as much as you can. And, just don't get hit by that left hook, baby.
You know what? Yeah, you want to avoid the left hook, but at the same time, if you're Jiri, I also don't want to show any fear. I want to respect him, but once we're in that cage, all respect goes out the window. I'm not going to be foolish and careless, but at the same time, I would utilize the ground game, but I try to mix it up with Pereira as well. As you brought up, Izzy showed you, this dude can get hit. Now, granted, that was at 185, 20 pounds less. So, do you mix some of that in with the cutting of the weight, going down that far, dehydrating yourself so much, and not able to recover in a 24-hour span? Maybe. There is something to that. Now, granted, Izzy almost finished him the first time they fought in the first round. At the end, the bell saved him. But that also shows you that while the weight cut played a factor into it, that it is possible that if you're Jiri, hey, don't be afraid to throw that right hook. Don't be afraid. You want to set up a little bit? Here's what I would think of doing. Because it's my first fight in over a year, because I'm in Madison Square Garden, because of who I'm standing across, because of the lights, the stage, the crowd, everything going on, I would spend the first round and a half, 2 rounds, not trying to bounce around so much. I would almost come out. Come in, and I don't want to get into a standard war with him. Come in, throw a couple jabs, double jabs. I'm going immediately for a takedown. Clinch work, takedown, try to get a double leg early. Almost apply the same game plan Habib liked to use. Spend the first round or 2 taking you down, mauling you, wearing your gas tank out. And then what would he do third round? He'll try to stand up with you a little bit. See, because now you're expecting a takedown. That's when I feel if I'm in Yari's camp, first round or 2, we're going for takedowns. I want you to get behind this dude, get him down to the ground, wear his gas tank out, but also allow yourself to embrace the moment. Get that adrenaline dump, and if you do gas, you're already on the ground, recover. Once you recover, if you start feeling good around Second half of the second round, third round, now start getting loose. Kind of like Bruce Lee in Return of the Dragon when he fought Chuck Norris.
Oh, yeah.
Flat foot at first, he was getting his ass whooped by Chuck, but then you start moving around. Then that's when I'm popping a jab and I'm throwing that overhand right to try to catch Alex because I feel at that point, if Alex doesn't do what I was suggesting in there, granted, he can do whatever he wants. He's former champion. What do I know? But I'm just saying, for the sake of my argument, I'm going to wrap it up here. If he doesn't imply that, Alex, with those takedowns, he's going to get frustrated trying to look for the big shot. And that's when I think he's going to be a little hesitant to try to throw combinations. And that's when it's going to open up Jiri to go ahead and throw an overhand right or two with combinations and tag him. And maybe, as you said, get that finish, which I think we all kind of assume will happen only because of the magnitude of how these guys fight and their skill sets paired. It really doesn't spell out decision.
I agree. And I would just say, I think the craziest outcome, and I just want to say it in case it does happen, that way your boy can take some more credit. If this fight gets ended by Jiri Prochazka tapping out Alex Pereira, now that's in borderline right there with Justin Gaethje finishing Dustin Poirier with a head kick, or Leon Edwards finishing Kamaru Usman with a head kick. It's almost as crazy just because of how anticipated this fight is and how much of a bloody bath everybody is expecting this fight to be. So yes, I'm just, what I can say about this fight, I'm super excited. This fight is not going to disappoint. I can't see it disappointing.
Very much so. That is the main event. Let's jump into the co-main event. We got Sergei
Pavlovich, baby.
Pavlovich.
Hey, he's
taking on Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, he's from that dirty part of Russia. You got to be respectful.
I am. I just stumbled in saying his last name there. But you got Sergei
Pavlovich.
6-fight win streak, all first round finishes, and some of them have looked brutal. I mean, we're talking about Curtis Blades, Tuitai Vasa, Derek Lewis. These guys he just put on skates out there and just showed off his power. Taking on Tom Aspinall. To me, Tom Aspinall looks like a British version of Frank Mir. If Frank Mir was a striker, his physical build, his makeup, and that youthful, not arrogance, but that youthful energy that he brings inside of there, where he knows and feels, I'm better than who I'm standing across. Granted, he's still on the uprise in the UFC. He's up there in the top rankings, but it's not like he's gone through murder's row of opponents. But he has that same energy I felt Frank Mir had when he fought it doesn't matter who's across from me. I'm going to beat you. So come on, buddy. Let's just figure this out. I love this particular matchup. It's one of those where, you know what it reminds me of, Griff? Remember when John Jones, took on Ryan Bader? And at that particular point in time, they were both prospects on the rise, running through everybody. And this was one of those matchups where it said, whoever wins this, your trajectory is going to go one way. The other one, we'll see.
Right.
John Jones went there and did what he did. He's become John Jones. Ryan Bader has found fortune in Bellator, becoming a two-division champion. I feel like this is that type of matchup here. Even though the interim heavyweight title is on the line, higher stakes, I feel like this is one of those matchups where it's two prospects in a division seeking a dominant force outside of John Jones and Stipe Miocic. One of these guys is going to be able to go on a trajectory of, hey, face of the division possibly. The other one, we'll see how you fizzle out the rest of the time. Can you find your footing again? I love this matchup. To me, I feel like if this was on almost any other fight card, it might be the headline itself.
Absolutely.
Properly delivered, it might have been a headline had it originally been scheduled.
I agree. I originally thought they were going to keep it the way it was. These two boys fighting for the interim heavyweight title in the main event while Jiri and Alex Pereira fight in the co-main. Of course, that wasn't going to happen. They were going to switch it up a bit. But let me tell you something interesting about these two men. Both men are young and they're both young in their careers. Neither one of them have seen the third round when it comes to fighting in the UFC.
No.
Both of these men have two of the shortest average time fighting in the cage throughout their careers in the UFC. That means these boys are getting it done in the first or second round. They're not just big heavyweights. They're big heavyweights who finish people. They come in for the throat. And that's just spectacular.
It's phenomenal.
This fight. We just had the baddest man on the planet competition with boxing with Fury and Ngannou. This is the baddest man on the planet when it comes to the UFC. This fight right here.
It really is. Sergei's on a 6-fight win streak for all first-round finishes. Tom Aspinall 7-1 in his last 8 bouts. All first-round finishes. The one 6 of them are first round, but the one loss, knee injury.
He got knee injured. He tore his ACL against Curtis Blades.
Yeah, so it's one of those where it's like we don't even know how it really would have played out, but that it is what it is in that particular regard. But you're right; these two guys here are predators. This is a phenomenal. It's like Predator versus Alien. This is a badass matchup.
That's a perfect
here.
way to say it.
It's a badass matchup right here. again, I really look forward to this one. Sometimes, and it's not the UFC's fault, and it's not even the fighter's fault, but sometimes when injuries happen, you kind of got to throw things up in the air and say, okay, let's just throw up against the wall and see what works. This is one of those where it's like, oh, we got gold here in this one.
Oh, yeah.
I love this matchup. Aspinall striking, even though he's gotten the finishes, tell me what you think about this. I feel like Sergei is the power guy, throwing the boulders at you. Aspinall is the quick and efficient guy. He's got power, don't get me wrong, but I feel like his power is almost like Anderson Silva's power. It's more so speed, timing, flowing with it, right? Whereas Sergei is like, oh no, boom! You know what I mean?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say Sergei, there's a video out there. People can find it real easy. It's Sergei Pavlovich. He's doing some training out on like some beach underneath a dock. And he's just moving these big, nasty Russian white hands. And they're so fast. Yeah. They're moving so fast. It's like seeing one of those, what's that gorilla called where it's like all white, the white fur. You know what I'm talking about? He was in the...
Polar bear?
Huh?
The polar bear?
No, it's a gorilla. The gorilla. It was in the movie with... Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah, Rampage. It's like those white gorillas. But at the same time, the white gorilla is just perfect technique. It's ridiculous. Tom Aspinall, though, it's more, I feel like his game, it's more rounded. You see highlights of him where he's piecing somebody up, but it's just a setup for a takedown, and then he gets him down on the ground. Pavlovich, he's so big, and he's moving so fast with those hands, people are unable to take him down. Yeah. So that's what makes this tension of this fight so good. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know whose game plan is going to be better. All we know is that someone's going to bleed.
Somebody is going to bleed, and if they die, they die. That's from Rocky 4. I don't really want to know when to die. We also got on the card for 295. Former champion Jessica Andrade is taking on Mackenzie Dern, who's looking to take the next step in her career, trying to get closer to that title shot. So that'll be an interesting matchup. The fight card itself is phenomenal to check out in that one. But UFC 295, it's not the big heavyweight bout that we were all hoping for. I think they said John Jones might be able to return sometime next summer. Griff, if I'm not mistaken, there's a certain international fight week card that they like to do during the summer, and it seems like it could be wrong. Seems like the UFC might want to try to do themes. You remember this past one? It was almost like Hispanic. All the fighters, or at least the champions, were of Hispanic or Latin background. I believe the one before might have been Brazil or Europe. I think that'd be kind of cool if an international fight week, if they try to do that. Like, hey, kind of like when they go to the UK, they put all the UK fighters on. They go to Canada, put all the Canada fighters on. Hey, you do one, we try to hit different regions. If a certain former champion is ready, or current champion is ready to come back, International Fight Week, John Jones, Stipe Miocic?
It's gonna have to look at the timelines. I feel like because we're gonna talk about the announcements of the fights that just for 2024, and then you also got to keep in mind UFC 300 is coming up next year. We also got to keep in mind there's a former double champ, Irish drinking, money making, Gucci mink pink riding boy still out there. They want to make sure he gets his shot. They want to make sure he gets to hold the main event in an event.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's possible. Your boy got to pass a few tests, though. But as you say, Griff, we got a few fights that were announced.
Before we say that, I just want us to get a nice little prediction for these two, for the co-main and the main event for UFC 295, if we can, please.
You take your own damn predictions and you shove it up the.
We got to announce our predictions.
You put yours out there.
All right. You ain't gonna put yours out there.
Put yours out there, Griff.
All right. I'm gonna say for the main event, I love Jiri Prochazka. I think he's a wild man. I think he's a true, absolute wild man, as much as we have in today's UFC. But I think Alex Pereira, the way he fights and the stone hands he possesses, it's got to be Alex Pereira. He's going to hold 2 belts in the UFC, or he's going to be a 2 weight division champion, just as he was in Glory Kickboxing. It's going to be phenomenal. And then the co-main event, this is so hard. My heart wants to say Aspinall, but my brain is saying Pavlovich. I think Pavlovich might get this thing done, and then it's going to be a crazy ride at the heavyweight division as the scariest Russian on the roster reigns over that division.
Interesting.
Care to share your thoughts?
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
Dana White had 3 big announcements on how we're going to start off UFC 2024? 2024. 3 big announcements. Griff, would you do the honors and read off these right here on when we can see these matchups?
Absolutely. So in January at UFC 297, the middleweight champion Sean Strickland faces the one man that everybody thought was going to get screwed over, that Dana White was pissed at that he didn't take the opportunity. I guess not. I guess Dana White has a heart of gold. He's forgiven because Sean Strickland will now face Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title in January. In February, we got Volkanovski, fresh off of his unfortunate head kick loss to Islam Makhachev. He will be defending the featherweight title against Ilia Topuria, February at UFC 296 or 298. And then in March, baby, Sean O'Malley, the kid, he will face the one man who ever got his number in the UFC, Chito Vera, at UFC 299 in the main event. It's just a 3-month span of violence.
Really, a 5-month span. You add in 295, which we just went over.
Of course.
You throw in 296, which is next month out here in Vegas. Leona Edwards putting the welterweight title on line against
Chaos.
And then you just added the 3 that we got here. That is 5 months of UFC pay-per-views with a title on the line from badass champions taking on badass challengers. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be amazing to break these down. Here's something I kind of noticed, too.
Yeah.
We're putting all these titles on the line on these different pay-per-views. One, the UFC loves to have the titles on the pay-per-views.
Of course.
But you know what they're also kind of doing? They're clearing the slate for all worthy champions to have a recent title defense so that you can justify why you're not the main event of UFC 300, because it's very possible
You already know.
somebody could be returning.
We already know
for
who
UFC
it is.
300, and if they do, I'm sorry, but I don't think he's anything other than the main event. There's only one fighter that I think you will put over him, just one. He's got a pec injury right now. He's got to get injury. Otherwise, there's a certain ole, 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 ole. I haven't fought in 17 years.
Man,
I haven't won a meaningful
Garbage.
fight in 10 years.
We're the
I'm
money
living
fight.
off the
We are the
past.
money
I'm living
fight,
off
baby.
the past.
It don't matter how long we're at. We're the money fight.
Conor McGregor could be coming back.
You could be.
So that'll be something to be checking out as well. Like, when you were announcing it, that's what I thought is, man, if they're putting all these title fights there, who's still out there to say, let's turn back around for UFC 300? Oh, I see what they're doing. Granted, they're giving us title fights for the pay-per-views, which is awesome, but they're clearing a slate of any major ones. Now, granted, maybe for the titles are on the line in November, possibly December, if no injuries are suffered, maybe they turn back around and can do that. But if not, hey,
Come on. He's announcing fights all the way up to 299.
well, you know the 300 is going to get its own special announcement.
Of
That's
course.
it's going to be the only one. Look, we will get into it more before we wrap up the show. The timeline would not work, but I was just thinking, UFC 100 was International Fight Week. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that one, but I know UFC 200 was. I'd like that would have been super cool if they could have maybe pushed that back and kind of make, if they could, the hundreds International Fight Week. I thought that would have been kind of cool, especially with the International Fight Week. But it's in April. We know the UFC loves to do their big shows in April, so it'll be fun to watch. Although that's March, April, May. Nah, you couldn't go 3 months without.
Nah, you got to go April.
Yeah, I was gonna say you couldn't. I was gonna say if that was maybe May,
Right.
we might be able to push it back to early July. But
That'd be amazing.
It's March. But
I will ask you though, with these 3 fight announcements, focus back on with these. Which one of these 3? They're all 3 are super exciting. There's so much on the line for all 3 of them. Which one really stands out to you the most? Whether not necessarily because it's the best fight, but because maybe it's just there's more details behind it that make it so interesting. Or what stands out?
I think the Volkanovski Ilia Topuria one, because Topuria, I feel, is one of those guys that has all the tools to be the top guy, but because of Volkan he's run, Max Holloway still being there.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Cejudo trying to come back. The idea of maybe Aljamain Sterling or Sean O'Malley trying to come up for a super fight. Volk going up for super fights. It's kind of taking the attention away of, hey, we got a badass undefeated dude here who ain't no joke. I think that would be an awesome one because, 2, how does Volkanovski respond? This is his first true loss in such a long time, and it was by knockout. How does he respond? Does the great one, the king, possibly to go to 145, does he lose his throne, or does he come back to 145, reclaim his throne, and remind people, oh, y'all must have forgot, I might lose at 55. I'm not losing at 45.
I don't lose at 45.
So to me, I feel like that one, the O'Malley Vera one, is interesting because, like you said, there is history there with Vera being the one to defeat him.
There's real beef. There's real beef.
I'm not gonna lie though. That Corey Sandhagen loss, and it happens. Sandhagen is a beast.
Sandhagen's a monster.
But it kind of, for me, it kind of took some of the air out of it. It kind of took some of the air out of Chito's run just a smidge. Now, as we get closer to it, I'm going to be excited. Don't get me wrong. That's Chito Vera. But it kind of took a little bit of the air out where, remember O'Malley, how he was coming in. Takes on Peter Yan, gets him. Goes in Aljamain Sterling, steaming hot. Vera, just for me, at this particular point in time, somebody's steam is a little off. Just now.
That's
the
fair.
other one, fuck him.
Hey, this is the, what can I say that's not going to get us canceled? This is white on white violence right here. This is Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Two men who've got beef with anyone who ain't their color. All right. These two men, I'm actually happy we're going to get this. I'm happy because Dricus du Plessis, say what you want about the man, but when it comes to the business of the UFC, you can't, especially after what he did to Robert Whittaker, you can't turn the man down. You can't just turn around and give the title fight to Khamzat Chimaev. I don't care that he beat Kamaru Usman. I don't care if he had beaten Paulo Costa. Dricus du Plessis did something to Robert Whittaker that no other middleweight has been able to do outside of Israel Adesanya. Yeah, and in the timeline, especially with when he did it and how when this fight is going, this fight card is going down, it's the perfect timeline. It's the perfect time to face him with Sean Strickland, and then you go from there. Especially with, like you said, Izzy being out for who knows how long, he's not going to be in the cage. So these two going at it, it really clears things up. It really gives some structure to the middleweight division, and then you go from there. And every single one of these fights too, there's like one guy you can pick in the division who has stakes on the line. Everyone's got stakes, but like with this one,
Hold on.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, originally Volkanovski and Tapar was going to be in January. So if he doesn't have the knockout and that's in January, what if they put Strickland and Duplessis in February? Black History Month.
Oh.
Fuck him.
Man,
Okay. Look, when you said it, I was just like, oh, that's wait a minute. I was like, that would have been
Dana, why are you
ironic?
Dana, are you that bold? Are you that brave,
That
brother?
would have been something.
That would have been something.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but just these fights are really exciting. It really gets me hyped up for 2024. The UFC just keeps going. And it seems like, I don't know about anybody else, but this year in 2023, it seems like it's been one of the greatest stretches of a year for the UFC. And it's just now it's spreading into the next year, 2024. This is incredible. This is great. The UFC's on fire, despite missing its biggest star, the hero of it all, the Irish go-getter. But it's okay, because look, banger after banger after banger after banger, and then boom, our boy is back.
Yeah. He should
always can tie it back to Conor. Always.
He should be in Expendables 5 since he's kind of like those guys. Big a long time ago, still living off his old reputation and name value, but he's not a current big star, and he doesn't have any current big hits.
And yet everyone still wants Green Panty Night. It's a crazy world we live in.
Everyone will take an easy payday.
Hey, why is it a payday? Because you're fighting the notorious one.
Well, yeah, he's marketing him. Hold on. He's marketing himself in a certain way, sure, but it's an easy payday.
You think so?
Easy payday.
You think so?
Oliveira runs through him. Dustin Poirier did it twice. Justin Gaethje puts him down. Islam.
This is all speculation.
I'm just going off the facts. Did Dustin Poirier not beat him twice?
He did.
Okay. Now
Has Justin Gaethje fought him?
Not yet.
That's speculation.
Well, no. That's based off injury. But based off what we've seen in the cage, you can tell me in the back of your mind, you are not as confident if he was to take on Justin Gaethje. You're more confident if he faces Michael Chandler, but you would not be as confident if he took on Islam. If he took on your boy Sugar Sean O'Malley, you wouldn't be so confident.
I think
we'll wrap it up on Conor McGregor because he's not even announced to be back now.
Yep.
But all I'm going to say is Green Panty Night is an easy night to cash in on. But
we'll see.
That is UFC 295, UFC 296, and all the way up to UFC 299. Next year, it is fun. But we will be here to the end of 2023, breaking down all the news, recapping all the fights that just happened, and more in the world of combat sports. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of The Main Event right here on Franchise Sports Media. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for all your combat sports content and other sports as well. We like to cover a lot of things. This has been
Griff and Kalani.
I'm Kalani Lewis. Till next time, fight fans.
Peace.